Well, after narrowly escaping a U.S. airstrike in Tunisia, the lead strategist of a terrorist group seeks revenge. That's the premise of a new book called Covert Awakening, written by Julianne Hale, who's joining us now. The author is from the DMV area. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, tell us a little bit about this book and where you got this name from, Covert Awakening.
Sure. So the book is actually about, it's a fiction book, but it's based on real characters and real events that have happened in the Middle East and North Africa, or the Near East region. So the book is about a terrorist named Walid who he actually gets tasked by the emir of his group to lead a series of attacks against Western interests. In the process of this, he actually meets a group of people that convince him to convert to Christianity. So instead of going on the run from his group and going into hiding, which many people do who decide to make that decision, he actually makes a very brave decision and decides to stay in his group. He tries to hide the fact that he's converted from his emir and from the rest of his group, and he tries to stop the attacks from happening. He thinks that there's still a lot of good that he can do in this world. So he tries to make that decision and actually tries to start a revolution from within to start to fracture his group.
Well, tell us a little bit about your background and why you decided to write this book.
Sure. Well, I've been in the national security industry for the last 10 years or so, and I've actually always wanted to write a book, and I assumed at first that I would write nonfiction, since that's what I write for work. I write a lot of analyses on the Middle East and North Africa. But one day on the way back from Israel on a 13-hour flight, I had a long time to think about this, I decided it would be fun to write a fiction book about this, because there's a lot that I can describe in one character that kind of is more representative of a larger population that I couldn't do by just telling one person's story. So this story is based on several individuals in the Middle East who have gone through similar experiences that Walid goes through. So I try to combine them into one. And also, I've actually done a lot of work over the past several years with missions groups who have gone to the Middle East and North Africa to bring humanitarian aid, and also to bring really just the good news of God's love for these people. And that's something that really prompted me to write this book, because I wanted to get that message out there.
You talked a little bit about the main characters behind this. What kind of struggles were they going through that you saw, that you witnessed?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's actually a group of people that are in this portion of the world, and it's loosely translated in English to the forgotten ones. And these people are anyone from orphans to widows of suicide bombers. Some of them are the terrorists themselves who have decided to go on the run. They're called the forgotten ones because they're just unknown after that, and nothing's really told about their story. And a lot of these people, we just don't know their stories, but a lot of them are really dealing with a lot of issues of redemption. How do they actually come back from what they've done? Several of them really don't know what they are doing. They're told one thing by their group, and that's the only thing they know, because some of them are recruited from the time they're children, they're child soldiers. And so it's kind of about their struggle, their journey. How did they find the love of God, and how did that really change their lives? And I think there's a lot of stories out there about people that have converted. There's a lot of stories about members of ISIS who have converted and decided to leave. But the story that I like to know is, well, what happened after that? Because that's really an unknown story. So I wanted to tell their story from that perspective, the things that they're dealing with and what they've done.
We have about 30 seconds, but it's a spiritual journey. Can you tell us just briefly about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of these people, when they're indoctrinated, they're kind of growing up into a culture of hate. And I think the biggest theme from this book, aside from redemption, is the power of the love of God. So they're really learning to do a complete 180.
I have the book here. I just want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to see Covert Awakening. So
right.
I hope you get a chance to see it. And just so everybody realizes, you can check it out. It's at Covert Awakening was released this week on Amazon and at Barnes & Noble.